We go out and the first thing we see is a 13, 14-year-old girl with a bullet wound in her leg, in her stomach, and probably her chest. And I think she was right there about to die.
It was just chaos. You saw injured people. There was this one guy who was on all fours crawling. There was this girl spitting up blood. There were bullet holes in some people's backs, some people's arms.
9 of those patients are critically ill, so either in the intensive care unit right now or in the operating room. We did have patients age ranges 3 months all the way up to 45 years of age.
And those some of the eyewitness accounts after that midnight movie screening in Colorado for the new Batman movie that has come out here. And you hear some of the testimonials and also some of the phone video that was shot there, and it's really chilling. Imagine just for a moment sitting there to watch a movie, and apparently from some of the eyewitness accounts they thought it was some of the ambient noise that was going on, which turned out to be gunfire, that it was part of the movie, only to discover they look over and the bloodshed literally in that theater as they streamed out in disbelief. So we, for the rest of this hour, will be talking about this and the questions that yet again emerge after another senseless tragedy here, and once again in Colorado. Now, one of the people speaking out today, Congresswoman Carolyn McCarthy, Democrat from Long Island, and many of you may remember, and for those who don't, she came to Washington not out of a lifelong political ambition, but really after she rose to prominence after losing her husband in a mass shooting on the Long Island Railroad. And Andrew, I know you spoke to her earlier today. She's been an advocate for laws rewarding the books, just keeping them on the books. And I know the president said, you know, today's not the day to talk about, you know, politics, et cetera, but she politely disagreed.
The president not the only one. I heard from any number of people today that, you know, today's just a day for thoughts and sympathies for the families and not a day to talk about our guns in America or our gun policies. But Representative McCarthy could not disagree more. I asked her about that and a lot more when she joined me for our exclusive interview. Congresswoman, a lot of gun advocates and gun rights supporters have said today, with the tragedy still unfolding, is the wrong day to talk about gun control or gun policy. As both a victim of gun crime and as a lawmaker, do you agree with that?
No, I totally disagree with that. I happen to think that we should be talking about reducing gun violence before there is any kind of a horror that we are going through from last night. The problem is nobody wants to talk about it. You know, all they want to do is delay it, delay it, delay it, have the American people forget about it, and then walk away from it until the next tragedy. I mean, you can't have a debate with me and say there's any reason in the world why we need to have large magazines on the streets for the average citizen to be able to buy. They should be for our police officers, they are for our military. They should not be for anyone off the street being able to buy it.
Other than banning large magazines, what 2 or 3 other gun laws would you advocate that we could implement tomorrow and immediately start reducing gun violence?
Well, I happen to think that everybody should go through a very big background check. Right now we have so many different loopholes throughout the country on how they do their background checks. When you look at gun shows, there people can go in and buy a gun, don't have to go through a background check. They can come out and they do their harm. I mean, when you think of all the illegal guns that are coming in here into New York State, we have good gun laws. We have good background checks. But if the guns are coming in from other states, we can't do anything about it. On a federal level, I think you can do that. Microstamping, looking at, you know, where you can trace these guns to where they came from. So, I mean, there are a lot of things that we can do, but that debate won't even start until the other side stops accusing me and many others of trying to take away their right to own a gun. That is not what I'm trying to do. The Supreme Court already said that people had the right to own a gun. But with that, they also said that municipalities and legislators had also the right to protect their citizens. You know, this is also a healthcare crisis. And the American people have to start thinking about that there is no safe place in this country anymore. There are too many guns, too many people are reckless with it, and there are many people that should not own a gun because of the 1968 gun control laws. And yet, those people are still being able to buy guns. We have to do a better job. We can do a better job. But as long as we're held hostage by the gun manufacturers and the NRA, but putting out these false lies constantly, and unfortunately people believing it, we're never going to get anywhere, and unfortunately these kind of killings are going to continue to go on.
Now, despite her best efforts over her 16 years in Congress and that of so many other lawmakers, they have been unsuccessful at implementing gun control laws. And in fact, over the past 30 years, we've actually seen a spread of pro-gun laws, and more so in recent years. For example, concealed carry laws. In 1981, the states in white, 19 of them, didn't allow anybody to carry a concealed weapon. As for the other states, the darker the coloring, the more relaxed their laws were. This was 1981. This is 2011. Only Illinois bans all concealed carry laws, and notice how many more states are shaded more darkly, meaning their gun laws are currently more relaxed. But there's more. College campuses. Guns on campus now legal in 9 states, including Delaware in our region, and there are no specific laws banning guns on campus in 21 other states, meaning anyone allowed to carry them can carry them to class. That includes Connecticut and Pennsylvania in our region. Guns in bars, legal in 8 states and not forbidden for permit holders in another 21 states, including, surprisingly, every single state in our region. Want to pack heat in church? Go for it. That's legal in 5 states and assumed to be legal in 33 others. Many of these laws coming into play in recent years, including, again, every state in our region. So why do so many people think that the opposite is true, that gun rights are actually being eroded, or that President Obama wants to come and take your guns? Perhaps it has something to do with messages to gun owners like these from NRA Executive Vice President Wayne LaPierre.
Everything we love about America, all the freedoms our forefathers fought for, all of it is under attack by Barack Obama.
And if that's not enough, the NRA is doing even more to get more gun-friendly laws, $40 million worth of more. That's what the NRA has pledged to defeat President Obama in this November's election. Rich.
Okay. And in a next segment, we're going to bring on a staunch supporter of the Second Amendment, but beyond that, gun rights here. And in fact, he wants to expand those rights, forget about curtailing them. And obviously, this is your wheelhouse. You know this issue. I think I look at polls, and the public perception 10 years ago was we need tighter restrictions. Now, every question that people ask, at least as of last year with some of the polling I saw, people are saying loosen up the rules. Now, I'm sure some of that has to do with, you know, a successful campaign, even though it's not true that the president was going to knock down the doors, this new president, and take their guns away. But the general public doesn't seem to have a problem, by a slight plurality, not a landslide, with the amount of guns that are in this country right now. Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, I think you're right. The polling has changed a bit over time. There was a point maybe in 2000 or a little bit before that. We are at a higher percentage of folks that said, yes, we definitely want background checks. We don't want military-style assault weapons on our streets, things like that. I think you're still over 50%. You know, in that category that don't want that. You also have gun owners, a fair number of gun owners that still don't want that. But, you know, you've had 2 Supreme Court cases over the last years. You've had the hammering away by the gun lobby that, you know, there's an individual right to bear arms, and that, you know, we want to push guns in every nook and cranny of this country. And, you know, and that's what they're about. That's what they're trying to do. I think there's still strong support for strong gun laws in this country, but I think there's a lot of apathy in this country, and that's one, as I mentioned earlier, that's what concerns me. Another mass shooting, the largest mass shooting I believe in U.S. history last night. What's going to be the response? Where do we go from here? And
you know, guys, for me, forget about, because I believe in the Second Amendment, okay? And I think sometimes people go to extremes here and they believe that's where this conversation's taking place, either taking away all the guns here or letting everyone have guns whenever they want. I believe you can have a right to bear arms, but have a happy medium. And maybe I'm Pollyannish here, but I think if we have a dialogue, which hopefully we're doing today, people can realize that, wait a minute, what's the one thing that these tragedies have in common? Well, there's a gun involved, or guns plural, and 2, somebody that had these guns shouldn't have had them. And Dominic, I just think down deep, if people say, wait a minute, do we really need assault weapons in this country? Do we really need to have no background checks for some of these folks here? Do we really need guys like this guy to be walking around with body armor? Why should people have body armor? I mean, I can't find one national police organization that thinks it's a good idea here that they're outgunned by regular civilians, let alone that any wahoo can walk in sometimes and walk out with a gun that is stronger caliber than what they carry, let alone they have body armor that not even all police are issued. I think the majority of America says they don't want to see what they saw last night, and they got to start somewhere. We have hundreds of millions of guns in this country.
Richard, you're preaching to the choir. I couldn't agree with you more. But I have to tell you, frankly, that you and I are both wrong on this issue. Because there, and as everyone at this table is, there are states in America where they feel they have every legitimate right to have a gun, to go to church, to go to college, for everything that they may do. And now, here's my point. We agree. I think all of us agree. We respect your Second Amendment right. But I want to make sure I got this right. So you want to be able to carry a weapon where a young man, I don't know how old this guy is, but he's a young guy.
He's early 24.
So you want to have the right to carry a weapon where you can kill 12 people on the spot and injure another 71. You want to have the right to do that. It's ridiculous.